That gentleman you see on the other side of me is Jeffrey Goodman, who actually had a pretty good night last night. He's making a little bit of money. Finally, again, back on the winning side, back on the winning train.
Killing it right now. I'm 14-6 in my last 20. I'm like, since we started with BetSports, I am 33 games over 500, 54%. And you know what I was doing before BetSports?
Mm-hmm.
I was like close to 60. So I'm not going to brag here, but I feel good today. I haven't felt good. I feel like I'm in like running in quicksand for, a month or so, and just like have a good day, have a bad day. Haven't been able to put together a couple, consecutive days. So hopefully today we'll be able to do that. Decent slate, and we got some conference games, and that's the nice thing. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. What was the biggest thing for you yesterday, Rob? There were like three, and you can't say UConn just because you're a UConn homer. So
no, I mean it was Colin Gillespie. Like it's not even. It's not. Is there a discussion? It's not even. Yeah.
I mean, listen. It looks like he's done. I mean, I'd be shocked. Obviously, you heard Jay Wright after the game say it's serious. You could see it on the face of his mother through her mask, the tears coming down her face. This is a kid that has done everything right. I mean, like he was a mid-major recruit coming out of high school. I remember talking to him at the last Final Four, and he was a freshman who played, but not a ton. And you're trying to find good stories. And somebody had told me, one of the Villanova assistants had told me his story, which was like, we took him like over like Delaware at that point. It was like a bunch of like CAA and mid-major schools, and he's turned himself into a pretty damn good player. And it's just so sad that that's likely going to be how his career ends. I mean, he could come back for another year. Maybe he will. But my guess is he moves forward after this. And now Villanova also goes, Rob, from a team capable of making a Final Four run. I don't see any way they can do that without Colin Gillespie.
I mean, they don't really have a point guard on the roster now.
Justin Moore? Yeah.
He's not really a point. I mean, Jeremiah Robinson Earl was kind of running the point for him yesterday after Colin Gillespie went down. They're in a very bad spot, and I really, really feel for Colin. And you know what, for that team in general, right? Like every single kid in college basketball this year and that played last season has just been through so much between getting that NCAA, the 2020 NCAA tournament canceled, and all the isolation and everything that they're going through this year. And like Villanova's had a lot of it. They spent basically a month stuck in in a hotel room. So to go through all of that and have it get ripped away on some fluky injury on 3 days into March, 10 days before the start of the tournament, it's not fair. It sucks.
I'm surprised, Rob. I'm surprised we haven't had more injuries this year. Aren't you? With all the pauses and with COVID. Aren't you surprised? Now, again, this one was completely fluky, but aren't you surprised that we haven't had more like significant, knock on wood, season-ending injuries this year?
I guess. I mean, my feel would always kind of be like that wouldn't have an impact on like knees or ankles or anything like that. It makes you more likely to like pop a hamstring. But how often?
I'm just saying, whatever it is, like again, Baylor coming back 2 days after a pause, practicing twice and playing a game, like those situations. And Baylor's not the only one who did it. Obviously, there's a lot of schools that feel pressure because of their leagues, because of TV contracts, because they need to get the minimum amount of games early on in the season. I think that was it, right? A lot of teams were worried about getting to 13, and pretty much everybody's getting to 13 now. I just feel like, we've been fortunate in a way that there haven't been more significant injuries this season to college basketball players. So that's a good thing. But, man, Colin Gillespie, you feel for him and his family, and just, he's just such a good kid. And he's all about the right things. He really does kind of personify Villanova basketball a lot, and kind of the grind and the way he kind of handles himself and conducts himself. And I mean, listen, I feel for him. And again, Villanova, man, I just don't see any way that they're going to be able to go deep in the tournament now.
Yeah. It's tough. The only thing I would say is that they still have that same kind of like really interesting switchability and still kind of that's they can roll out lineups where they have Jeremiah Robinson Earl at the 5, and then Jermaine Singles, Justin Moore, Caleb Daniels, Brandon Slater. Like that's not terrible. And
good players.
They do have some guys that can pass, and they do have some guys that can play off the bounce, but it's very, very different not having that kind of go-to guy and that leader and someone that can, make.
He controls the tempo too.
Yeah,
like he controls their tempo, which is so important for Villanova and the way they play. And now, honestly, if you're playing against them and you got a bunch of athletes, you come after them. You come after them.
I don't know if it's so much that, but there's a very big difference, and we've talked about this with teams like Kansas over the course of the year. There's a very big difference between guys that can make a play and guys that are point guards, right? And Colin Gillespie is like a point guard through and through, and they have other guys on this roster that can
never
make
gets
plays.
rattled, never gets sped up, Rob.
Yep.
Like, how many guys can you say that about?
Yep. All right. So I think that this kind of – we talked about this last night on Locker Room, and Fanta was in there and ranting and raving about God knows what. But do you think that this makes UConn the favorite to win the Big East the Big East tournament title at this point? I think they are. I think they're the team most likely to make it to the Final Four out of this group.
Crazy because, 48 hours ago, they were clearly the number 3, maybe even not even number 3 team. But I think in both of our eyes, they were probably 3. And now, because of what happened with Colin Gillespie and what's happened to Creighton with the Greg McDermott situation, I think you say, like, I have more faith in UConn winning the Big East tournament and being dangerous going to the NCAA tournament than maybe any other team, unless Creighton can figure this thing out. And listen, they were good in the second half. Give them credit. They were good. I don't think they were affected by it once the game got going. I just think early on it affected them a little bit. And it was interesting to see after the game, Greg McDermott pretty much just gave a statement again, saying how bad he felt and how he screwed up and how he feels for the players and how he hopes he can gain their trust back. And they brought on Damian Jefferson, and he just basically said, I don't want to talk about anything other than the game and the team and the future. I don't want to talk about the situation. So we still don't know kind of where all the players stand on this and whether they are united or not.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got into this a little bit last night. So I thought it was pretty telling that we hadn't seen anybody come out and support McDermott publicly. I went through yesterday the Twitter feed for every single player on the Creighton roster, and none of them has mentioned Greg McDermott. I haven't seen any former players. Like I haven't done an exhaustive search of all the guys that have played for Creighton, but I haven't really seen anyone come out in unequivocal support of him. So I don't know. It's a very weird situation. And yesterday I said I thought that he was lucky that he kept his job. I understand why these players are trying to do things the way that they're doing them, though. Like if you're in this situation where you've been through, you had a chance to make a Final Four last year that blew up in your face. You have a team that is capable of making a run of the tournament this year. And the best chance for you to be able to make that run, to make everything that you've dealt with over the course of the last 6 months worth it, is to have Greg McDermott coach you. So I understand where they're like, look, we're going to be selfish here. We're going to do what's best for us. And what's best for us is to have this coach try to help lead us and coach us to where we want to go. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But I really do not believe that this is the last that we're going to hear of it. And this, to me, and maybe I'm overreacting, maybe it's just the climate and maybe whatever, but I just think that this is basically the beginning of the end for McDermott. Everyone gets a second chance, and I'm sure that there will be, like, whatever happens, like he'll probably end up coaching again.
I don't think he'll want to go out this way. You see, I don't think he'll go out now. I could see this speeding up how long. I mean, Greg McDermott is he's only 56. Now he loves to golf.
I agree with you. I don't know how you recruit. Like how does he recruit right now?
Okay, here's so my question to you is, somebody posed this to me last night. They said, all right, well, why are we talking about John Beilein being hired? And why have we moved past this with what he said to his players in Cleveland? Right?
Yeah.
Why? Now, what I'm saying, I guess what I'm getting at here is, yes, it's fresh right now. In a year from now, are we really talking about it? And does it affect them recruiting-wise as much as you think?
I'll tell you this much. I think if John Beilein gets hired, that will affect him recruiting-wise.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I really do. And I'm thinking about how I can phrase this to make it. Let's just say that similar conversations to that have been had about John Beilein in recruiting circles back when he was still at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you there. I just think, again, it's going to depend on these players and really.
And it should. They are the ones who should make this decision, right? I honestly believe that they're the ones that should make this decision. If you're dumb enough to have that slip up and that misspeak, then you should be at the mercy of the people that maybe victims is too strong of a word in this situation, but they should be the ones that make this decision. Like whatever they want, whatever is best for them is what I think should happen. So, and if they've, and my understanding, I said this yesterday. I'm real quick and then we can move on. I said this yesterday that Greg McDermott offered to resign, and the consensus on the team was that they did not want him to resign. So if that's where they are with it, then that's where they are with it. And I think that we all should accept that. I hope this is going to be a storyline. And every time that Creighton plays, it's going to be talked about, and it's going to be something that gets asked about in post-game press conferences. And this is going to be what defines the rest of their season, unfortunately. So if they don't want to talk about it, I understand the desire not to talk about it. So let's move on. We don't need to beat this.
Yeah, no, agreed. Anything else last night other than Minnesota losing another road game?
Syracuse got a nice little win there.
They did. I mean, listen, we knew this was going to happen. We knew they were going to climb their way right back onto the bubble. And right now they're probably in. Am I wrong?
Syracuse in a play-in game, man. It's the most dangerous. The most dangerous team in America is Syracuse in a play-in game.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely need, like, to me, again, some combo. I don't care. Put Syracuse, Michigan State. Whatever it is, we need the first four. Like Duke, have them all. Duke, Michigan State, Syracuse. Who's your fourth? If you got a fourth team, that would be
Carolina.
Awesome. How great would that be? Although I still say high major against mid major would be better, but it's fine. You do whatever you want with it. Throw all of them. Boeheim, Kay, Roy, Izzo in the first four. Like, that would be sick. That would be the craziest thing ever. Talia last night, my daughter, said to me, she's like, where do you have all those teams ranked in the preseason? I'm like, yeah, and it wasn't good. It was not pretty. I had Kentucky 10, like Michigan State like 13, Duke like 14, and the worst one I did was I think I had like Arizona State 15. God, that was awful.
Yeah. Arizona State was the first one. Someone in the comments said, remember Keith Dambro? He got a second chance. What did Keith Dambro do?
He did something years ago. That he did get a second chance. It was like 20 years ago, though. And again, he wasn't first of all, we weren't in the day and age that we're in right now, number one. And also there was no, big social media stuff. If that's what you're
I cover college basketball for a living, and I honestly don't even remember it. So that's
it was years ago. All right, let's get into tonight's slate.
Yep.
Can we do that?
You know what we're leading off with?
Michigan State. What else?
No. We got afternoon Atlantic 10 conference tournament basketball.
All right, you're starting there.
We got your boy Ryan Daly at 1:00. He might still be a little bit hungover.
Can he do it?
1 o'clock's a little bit early for him.
Bullshit. You don't think Ryan Daly can play whenever you roll the ball out? I mean, seriously? If he had an 8 a.m. game,
he'll be ready to go.
He'd go for 20.
I just think that while he's playing, the essence of Busch Light and stale cigarette smoke is just going to be emoting off of him. It's so funny watching him play because he really does just look like a St. Joe's frat boy out there that walked in, thought he was going to pick up and ended up in the Atlantic 10 tournament.
He is so much fun to watch. If you've never watched Ryan Daly, you should watch NBC Sports Network today at 1 o'clock. St. Joe's plays UMass. I will absolutely have St. Joe's there, as I've tweeted. Like, they're never going to lose again with Ryan Daly. They're going to win the national title. St. Joe's is going to run the table.
I don't know if they're going to win the national title, but I hope they win today so I can be on the St. Joe's money line. That's my first bet of the day. I'm locking them in, man. I'm locking them in.
Wouldn't it be great to see him get to like the A10 title game, St. Joe's?
It'd be fun.
It'd be really fun. And honestly, it's not like out of the equation. Like, who's that good in the A10?
Nobody is that good in the A10.
Thank you. Nobody.
Every time, I actually, to be honest with you, I actually hate when the A10 plays because it just guarantees at some point that John Rothstein is going to tweet out that picture of Hannibal Lecter and say that the A10 is cannibalizing itself. It's just like I don't need to think about Hannibal Lecter on.
I don't follow Rothstein. I'll get some people will send me some of his dumb tweets, but I don't follow him, so I have no idea what you're talking about with the A10.
All right, yeah, let's start with Michigan and Michigan State. That line is massive.
Yeah. Right,
12 points in a rivalry game.
In a rivalry game, Michigan State's played better. Like, they haven't been great, but they played better over the last couple of weeks. That's a lot of points. But again, I guess Michigan's earned it over the course of the year.
Yeah. So this is tough because I can definitely see this being the kind of game where Michigan just rolls through people. The way that we talked about this the other day, but the way that that Illinois was able to kind of beat Michigan was that they played like this heavy drop coverage, and they took advantage. They did not leave the wings. They played heavy drop coverage, and they forced Michigan to try to beat them with Mike Smith and Hunter Dickinson and pick and rolls. And when you do that, and Hunter Dickinson can't pick and pop and can't shoot from the perimeter, and you're basically asking Mike Smith to go and beat drop coverage, like that's very difficult to do and not going to be something that is ideal for Michigan State. We'll see ideal for Michigan. We'll see if Michigan State ends up replicating, trying to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, like, it's also Hunter Dickinson going up against Marcus Bingham or Julius Marble is very different than Hunter Dickinson going up against Kofi Coburn. So I'm very, very torn on this one. I think I'll
take 12. Yeah, I'll take 12 here. It's looks like too many points for. I mean, Tom Izzo's getting 12 points. Like, seriously, Isn't that all you need to say? Tom Izzo's getting 12 points. Rob Dauster, 12.
Hey, what else? Goodman. I'm glad at least one of our listeners is supportive.
About what?
Look at the feed.
I'm looking at it. What?
I stopped watching NBC when they let go of Dauster. Thank you, SD.
Well, you can watch today.
A little bit of support.
Ryan Daly's worth it. Watch today. I like Michigan State with Izzo. All right, next best game, Oklahoma State at Baylor. Big game here. Interesting game. I don't know if it's big, but interesting. Cade Cunningham against the Baylor guards. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of points for Baylor right now. 11.5. Again, I'm tempted to take the points, but I also feel like they're so overmatched in every other area. And even with Cade, like, they got guards they can rotate on him, right? They got help. I mean, you start with Davion Mitchell. Obviously, Vital's so big and strong. I don't know. Like, I don't have a great feel for this one. What do you got?
I think I like the points here as well. The first time that these two teams played, the Oklahoma State matchup zone really kind of messed with Baylor. and I think that they'll probably do it again. The big thing that happened in the second half of that game was that Oklahoma State just could not do anything against Baylor's defense. Like once Baylor was like, all right, you know what, fuck this, we're gonna kick your ass now. There was no Cade Cunningham to take over. Remember, this was when he was still in kind of contact tracing and in COVID protocol. So he did not play, and they just did not have an answer when he was not playing. So I think that I like Oklahoma State in the points here. Remember, we are just 2 days removed from Baylor playing an overtime game. And it was one where they still had leg issues. And there we go. We got a little bit of phone call. Shocker that you interrupted.
I won't take it.
But yeah, I think I like Oklahoma State in this spot. Again, the last time that they played, it was I thought Oklahoma State was more impressive. Now Baylor ended up covering, but they did not have Cade Cunningham. They were playing at home. So yeah, I think I like the points in this spot too. It's never going to be comfortable when you're taking the points against one of these top teams, but I do think both of them are going to be able to keep it close.
Yeah, I would agree there. What else? Texas, Oklahoma. That's a good game. Really good game. Big 12. To me, I've loved the Big 12 this year. It's been so much fun because it's been fairly even. Top 6 or 7 teams. Anybody can beat anybody other than probably Baylor losing for the most part this year to anybody but Kansas. So Texas, Oklahoma, to me, here's my take on this one. I think the guard matchup is fairly even. I just think Texas is so much better than Oklahoma up front. Now, Brady Manick played better last game. He did. He played better. But how is he going to handle those bigs? How is Oklahoma going to handle all of Texas's bigs? I don't see how. I think Texas beats them, even though Oklahoma is one of the better. Again, we've talked about this all year. They're one of the best teams at home over the last 7 years. So that scares me. But I like the Texas matchup here.
Mm-hmm. Texas is always a tough team for me because it very much feels like, are they going to show up or are they not going to show up? Now,
right.
when it comes to talent, how many teams are more talented than them in college basketball, period?
Yeah, I say 5. Like literally, I think you can go 5.
When it comes to how well they end up playing on a night-to-night basis, they're pretty inconsistent and pretty frustrating. So I think I would be on Oklahoma in this spot. I think that they have the guards to be able to kind of get up into like Matt Coleman defensively and be able to take away what they want to do. And I think when we are talking about X's and O's and all that, I would take Lon Kruger over Shaka Smart. But we'll see. The big thing is like Oklahoma loves playing that gapping defense, and I'm not entirely convinced Texas is going to be able to shoot over the top of it. Like we've seen them against Oklahoma State just have abysmal shooting performances. But we've also seen them. We've seen Greg Brown make 3 or 4 threes in the game. We've seen Kai Jones make a whole bunch of threes, and like Andrew Jones could get it going. And Courtney Ramey hit 8 threes the other night against I don't even remember who they played. Everything blends together at this point, but yeah, I think I like Oklahoma here. Texas on the season is shooting 34% from 3, which is 138th nationally. In league play, that number is 35%. They take more threes than anybody else, though, so that's something that should make you believe that maybe they have a chance. So we'll see. We'll see. I think I like Oklahoma in that spot, though.
I would agree. I don't have much else for today that I love. I'm kind of looking up and down, and I'm gonna do a little more research on some of these games and see who's playing and who's not. I don't have a good feel for some of these games. St. Joe's, like we talked about, kind of like Dayton, but it's hard to love Dayton. They're playing URI, giving 4.5, kind of like them. These A-Sun matchups, kind of looking at them a little bit, but I don't love them right now.
So where are you on? We have Kansas hosting UTEP.
Yep.
And it's set, the line at Bet Rivers is 17.5 right now. Which is,
yeah, I don't like giving 17.5 right now for Kansas. No way.
My concern with that would be, where's the motivation for Kansas to show up and play, right?
Yeah, true.
The team that they should beat in a walk. They just finished conference play. They have the Big 12 tournament coming up. This game is just added because Bill Self wanted more games to play. They didn't want to have it would have been like 2 weeks off between the end of the season and the start of the Big 12 tournament. So they're just playing this game to play this game. That does feel like the kind of thing that maybe like UTEP going into Fog Allen Fieldhouse will be up and ready for. But is that something that you really want to invest a little bit of money on and bet on? I don't know. It's a weird slate once you get past those big games.
I'm with you. Yeah, no, I think we're good where we're at. I'm not going to go too much deeper today. I don't love anything yet, but again, keep an eye on my BetSperts account. My guess is I'll add some stuff throughout the day today.